Hi, and welcome to Learn English Lab. My name is Ganesh, and in this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to use make and do correctly. Before we begin, just remember if you have any questions at all, just put them in the comment section below and I will talk to you there. Okay, now with make and do, if you're like most students, you might have wondered why do we use make in with some actions and do with other actions. Well, unfortunately, there's no single rule in English that I can give you and say, in all of these situations use make, and in all of these situations use do. There's no such rule in English. However, there is a simple guideline that you can follow to make the right choice in most situations. And that is that we use do to talk about activities, and we use make to talk about creating, producing, or constructing something. Let's talk about do first. Now, when I say do, this verb can occur in any of these forms. It can occur as do in the present simple tense. It can occur as did in the past simple. Done is the past participle form, and doing is the ing or the continuous form. One very common use of do is to talk about jobs or tasks, such as homework. Children have to do their homework. They don't make their homework. That doesn't really mean anything. Children do their homework. Okay? Or you might have to do your housework. Housework means things around the house, cleaning, washing, etc. For example, with dishes or laundry, we use do. Let's say your friend calls you and your friend asks, "Hey, what are you doing?" And you might say, "Hey, I can't talk now. I'm doing the dishes or I'm doing the laundry. Can I call you back later?" That means you're washing the dishes or you're washing your clothes. You can also do a job, or if you're a business person, you do business. We don't use make with any of these. We also use do to talk about exercise and physical activities. It's very important to do exercise regularly, or you might do yoga, for example. You will also find do in this sort of structure. You'll have do, and then you'll have a quantity expression like some, a lot of, a little bit, etc. And then you will have a verb with ing, like walking, shopping, or sightseeing. For example, yesterday evening I had some free time, so I did some walking around the neighborhood. I did some walking around the neighborhood. Tomorrow, if I have time, I might do a little bit of shopping. When I went to Spain on vacation with my family, we did a lot of sightseeing. Okay? We did a lot of sightseeing. So this is a very useful form that you can use. Do, and then a quantity expression like some, a lot of, etc., and then an ing form. Number 3 is a very common expression in English. Can you do me a favor? And some people make mistakes with this. They use make sometimes. That's wrong. Can you do me a favor? Favor is basically a way of asking for help. Okay? But a favor is a little bit stronger. The other person might have to make a lot of effort to do you a favor. And usually this means that you will return the favor in some future time. That is, you will help them in return sometime in the future. So the expression is, can you do me a favor? And finally, with any of these words, and all of these talk about activities in general without being specific. Anything, nothing, something, everything, etc. With all of these, we only use do. For example, let's say you meet a friend and you ask that friend, "Hey, what are you doing on Saturday?" Okay? And your friend says, "Oh, I'm not doing anything," or "I'm doing nothing on Saturday." And then you might ask, "Oh, do you want to do something?" That means, do you want to plan something? Shall we go out together or do something together? In that situation, we're not talking about any activity specifically, we're talking in general, and similarly with everything as well. So for all of these, we use do. Okay, so that's how you use the verb do. Let's now talk about make. As I said in the beginning, make is used to talk about creating, producing, or constructing something. And make occurs in these forms. Make in the present, made in both the past simple and the past participle form, and making is the ing or the continuous form. Perhaps the most popular use of make is to talk about food. When I wake up every morning, I make breakfast. I don't usually have time to make lunch because I have to rush to work, so I just eat at the canteen or the restaurant. But when I get home from work, I often make dinner. Okay, so in all of these cases, we use make and not do. You can also make a cake. My wife made a cake for our daughter's birthday. Of course, you can also say bake. Okay, so that means you can make or bake a cake. Sounds nice, right? A common question that we ask to visitors that come to our homes is, shall I make you a cup of tea? Or do you want me to make you a cup of tea or a cup of coffee? I enjoy making pasta. Maybe you enjoy making pizza. So for any kind of food, we use make, and that means to cook. Okay. The next category is actions relating to speech. Okay, let's say you are in a meeting room and there's a lot of people talking and there's a meeting happening. You might ask, can I make a suggestion? Can I make a suggestion? That means you want to give a suggestion to the group. Or some people might be upset because someone made a nasty comment. We make comments. You can also make a phone call to someone. Now this next set of words are all words relating to thought. And this is an area where a lot of students make mistakes. Okay? We make decisions and we make choices between two options. We don't do decisions or do choices. In the same way, if you're working on a project, you will need to make a plan for the project. Or if you're going on a trip, you will need to make the arrangements. Many students use do for some of these. They say we have to do a plan or do the arrangements. Do the arrangements is not so bad because the other person will understand what you say, but the correct word to use is make. Okay? All right. Now, before I forget, with all of these, just think of it as creating these things. For example, in that meeting room, there is no suggestion until you create the suggestion. So you make the suggestion. If you're going on that trip, in a sense, you're creating the arrangements because the arrangements don't exist. So you make the arrangements. Okay? All right, and finally, I have a list of words that are very common. They're common collocations of make. That means they occur together with make. And with some of these, there's no reason why we use make. It's just how the English language is. So you'll just have to memorize these expressions. We're all human, right? So we all make mistakes. We don't do mistakes. If you say do a mistake, that's a mistake. Okay? We make mistakes. And when people make mistakes, often they make excuses. An excuse is saying reasons for why you made a mistake. Okay? So we make excuses. One way to avoid making mistakes and excuses is to make a list, like a checklist of all the things you have to do, so you can just tick, 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 and then you hopefully won't make any mistakes. Children love to make noise. Of course, animals can make noise and machines can make noise as well. But children really like to make a lot of noise with their toys or when they're playing. And speaking of children, one thing that they hate doing is to make the bed. Now you might ask here, what does it mean to make the bed? Okay. Does that mean to create a bed? No. Make the bed simply means to arrange the covers or sheets and the pillows on a bed and make the bed ready for someone to sleep in. Okay? So you make your bed. It's very important to make an effort in anything that you do. Okay? We make efforts and we also make attempts. We don't do efforts, we don't do attempts. Here you might ask, why is that? Because effort is like work, right? And we have to use do with work. Well, again, there's no reason. This is just how the English language is. So with efforts and attempts, use make. If you make an effort in business, you might be very successful and you might make a lot of money. Make money doesn't mean to create money. Only the government can do that. Make money means to earn money. Okay? It's also very important to make sense when we speak and write. Make sense means to speak or write meaningfully. And last but not least, we make friends. Make friends means to become friends with people. Okay, so those are the most common uses of make. Now, as a quick recap, just remember that we use do for activities and make to talk about creating, producing, or constructing something. Now, if you are confused about whether to use do or make in a situation and you're not sure, just use do and your meaning will be clear in most situations. All right, now it's time for a test to see if you can use make and do correctly. Okay, on the screen there are 10 sentences, and in each sentence you have to choose between do and make. Take a moment now and pause the video if you like. Think about your answers, and then we will discuss them. All right, let's look at the answers. Number 1, Nicholas asked me if I could do him a favor. Number 2, please excuse me for a few minutes. I have to go outside and make a phone call. Number 3, have you started making arrangements for the wedding yet? Number 4, the company does business in 18 countries around the world. Number 5, Ruby failed the exam because she never made any effort to study for it. Number 6, I haven't yet made a decision on whether or not to accept the job offer. Number 7, stop making excuses and just admit that you made a mistake. It's make in both cases. Number 8, doctors recommend doing at least 3 hours of physical activity per week. Number 9, something is wrong with my laptop. It's suddenly making a lot of noise. Number 10, let's make a list of all the things we need to take on our camping trip. All right, did you get them all right? I hope you did. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And as always, if you have any questions at all, just let me know in the comments section and I'll talk to you there. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and I'll see you in another lesson soon.